Okay, rule 15, always acknowledge your buyer. Anytime they make a suggestion or make an offer or have any type of communication, you want to acknowledge that person. You understand what I mean by acknowledge? You've heard me do this probably 100 times now. It's like, I hear you, I understand, I got you, I appreciate that. Those are all acknowledgments. They communicate something, I acknowledge. Always acknowledge, okay? Don't bypass, don't discount, acknowledge first. Regardless of what the buyer offers in the negotiations, okay? Even if it's absolutely not acceptable, take the time to acknowledge it for that offer. Thank you. I appreciate that. I got it. Thank you for your generous offer. I hear you and I absolutely understand. Hey, I understand and I'm with you. I agree with your thinking. Okay, these are ways to acknowledge people. If you don't acknowledge them, they're going to get upset with you. The wannabe closer doesn't take the time to acknowledge a prospect's offer because he's so intent on selling the proposal, he fails to acknowledge what was actually offered or stated. He or she then talks over the communication offered by the customer, which is like gold. Communication is like gold, okay? And this stops communication. And without communication, you get what? You get no close. There's no exchange. You have to have communication, right? You say to me, hey, Grant, man, the weather's terrible out there. And I'm like, yeah, how's your wife? Okay? Man, Grant, the weather's terrible out there. How are the kids? Like, you're going to keep doing it. I'm either stopping communication and you're going to be like, hey, I don't want, this guy's a nutcase, okay? Or you're going to start screaming of the weather. And you don't want either one of them in the close. When you do not take the time to acknowledge, you only make matters worse because your prospect becomes more solid or rigid, more solid, okay, in the close and less able to work with. They become less pliable. You can't work with them as well. Many people think that if you acknowledge a communication, okay, this is incorrect. They think incorrectly, oh, if I acknowledge them, I'm in the close, then I'm going to give that, whatever they said, power. But the opposite is actually true. When you don't acknowledge communication, when you don't acknowledge completely that you got it, that buyer is going to stick. They're going to become solid, rigid, less pliable on that single point until someone pays attention to them. Look, if you've ever heard someone say to you, hey man, you listening to me? You know, they got that edge on now. They got that New York edge. The guy's from the South and now he sounds like a New York. Are you listening to me? Hey, you know why? It's because you haven't been acknowledging. That's because you didn't correctly acknowledge the customer. You didn't hear the communication. You didn't acknowledge that you got it. Look, this is acknowledging someone doesn't mean that you buy into what they're saying. It doesn't mean that you have to get sold on it. Like if you tell me, hey, Grant, the price of your products, the price of your book is too much money. I'm like, hey, man, I totally understand what you're saying. Okay? Does that make it true? No. It makes it true for you. It doesn't make it true for me. Okay? And it doesn't mean I won't get your $30. I just have to build value so that you see why it's worth more money. Maybe there's something you don't know about the book. Maybe there's some secret information in here that you had no clue was in there. Maybe there's 5 words in this book that you'd pay $30 for, but you won't pay $30 for the other 250 pages. But there's one little thing. Oh yeah, man. If I gave you one close, what would it be worth? Oh, it'd be worth, for me, what kind of money I'm, 300 grand a year. Okay, good. All of a sudden I built the value. I acknowledged him. He said it wasn't worth 30 bucks and I acknowledged him. Take the time to say the magic words. Thank you. I appreciate it. I got it. Thank you for your offer. I hear you and I completely understand. I understand you completely. Okay, I agree with your thinking 100%. Hey, I agree with you and I used to feel exactly the same way. All of these are acknowledgments. You've been hearing me do it for, probably 30 segments. Acknowledge, 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 and then close, okay? You have to learn how to acknowledge communication. Start with your spouse. That's a great place to start, and he or she will greatly appreciate it. And then if you really want to be challenged, start with the kids. Okay, hey, go out there and acknowledge people now.